Hi there, welcome to iTWire TV. Today, our special guest is Arnab Bose, the Chief Product Officer for Okta. Thank you so much, Arnab, for joining us.
Hi, David. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you. So, Arnab, I'm interested. Okta has recently released cross-app access. So, I'm keen to understand what is cross-app access and how does it work?
So, what we've noticed is as customers have been rolling out AI agents, they're seeing sort of phenomenal improvements in end user productivity and a way to drive down toil with sort of repeated tasks. And AI is really helping them supercharge their businesses. But in order for these agents to actually take action within third-party systems, like let's say the agent has to read data from your knowledge base or write into your customer support ticketing system or update an actual order in your inventory management product, it has to have today a service account or some level of high privileges within those applications in order to take action. And that is not a good setup from a identity security perspective because it means that if that particular secret or service account or token gets stolen, then it's a door that allows bad actors entry to all of these privileged resources at a very high level of access. So what cross-app access does is it extends the OAuth standard. It's an evolution of the OAuth standard that's been around for a long time. Okta being the world's leading identity company, we've had our hand in terms of shaping that standard for many years. So cross-app access is baked into the OAuth standard. It's an evolution of it. It enables applications to define access via an identity provider. So instead of setting up a direct connection using a service account, you can use an identity provider like Okta and say that, okay, application A can talk to applications B, C, and D at this level of entitlement or this level of OAuth scope. So it has three interesting benefits. One is that from a security perspective, the IT or security team can actually set the level of access within these applications without it being point to point.
Hmm.
The second thing is from an end user's perspective, if you're using one of these agents, you will not get bombarded with OAuth consent prompts. So it's not going to keep asking David, hey, do you want to access application B? Do you want to access application C? It also means that the person building the agent can be certain that their end users are going to get a consistent experience. Because if you have like some users who consent to that OAuth grant and other users who don't, then your end users end up having very different experiences and things that they can or can't do in the agent. And finally, the third benefit is with the centralized security control plane, as agent builders, you don't have to hand crank or custom build these settings within your application. You can offload that to the identity provider. So three key benefits of cross-app access. It's more secure and it has a centralized control plane. It's a better seamless end user experience, and it helps ensure that agent builders can stay focused on building the best agents versus building all of this additional security settings into their applications.
Yeah, that's wonderful. No, thank you. That's really clear and makes a lot of sense. That's wonderful. And I suppose with the proliferation of tools and AI agents and things like that, I guess I'm interested to know as well how cross-app access ties into Okta's long-term roadmap for securing non-human identities like agents that you've referred to, or services, or bots, or things like that. Is there, I guess, a longer-term plan here as well?
Totally. So, Okta's strategy from a workforce identity perspective is to ensure that we secure every identity in the enterprise before, during, and after authentication. And in order to do this, we are building the world's first and best identity security fabric. What this means is we have all of the components required to secure identities, whether it's access management, governance, privileged access management. These components are orchestrated end to end, and they integrate with all of the resources that enterprises need access to. And the way in which cross-app access fits into this is we have built in additional features within our identity security posture management product to detect when a customer has an AI agent in use within their ecosystem. So we look at log data, we look at direct OAuth access, we look at service accounts, within downstream applications like Amazon Web Services or Salesforce or GitHub. And we can provide that telemetry and that reporting. So, as a security persona within a company, you have visibility. With that visibility, you can hit a single button and start capturing those identities into Universal Directory and start leveraging cross-app access to actually protect that level of access and go away from direct service accounts or direct OAuth grants. And then you can use Okta's identity governance to go ahead and govern who has access to those AI agents, which human beings, and whether those AI agents should continuously have access to downstream resources going forward or not. Like you can recertify them. This provides a complete AI agent lifecycle where you can detect AI agents, you can capture them and start um, putting them behind a cross-app access policy, and you can govern them going forward so you can recertify whether they should keep having access or not. So that's our vision for A, providing this identity security fabric that secures employees, contractors, business partners, and now AI agents. And then B, by using cross-app access, we can fit AI agents into that entire framework.
That's exciting. That's a wonderful vision. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I suppose as well, threats are never ending and always around. I suppose what is Okta doing to help improve the detection and response for identity-based threats, especially with adversary in the middle phishing, token theft threats never abating. What is Okta working on? I guess helping developers and others, improve with the detection and response for these types of things.
So again, like our strategy is the same, right? It is building this world's first and best identity security fabric. And the beauty of the fabric is it's not just individual components, it's all of the capabilities required to secure identities end to end before, during, and after authentication, deeply integrated with all of your resources and fully orchestrated. So examples of the ways in which we are moving things forward are, one is you can't secure what you don't know about, which is why we've been investing a lot in our identity security posture management product. I talked a lot about how we are using that product to identify AI agents, but that product can also give you visibility into identity misconfigurations that you might have within your organization. One very common misconfiguration is the inability to detect what level of multi-factor authentication is actually enabled on an application. Most of the time, customers are simply checking to see if MFA is enabled or not on an application. And if you federate access into the application via an identity provider like Okta, oftentimes you don't understand if a person's going to get that step-up MFA prompt or not. So ISCM actually gives you that diff and shows you all the deltas and all the use cases where somebody might be able to bypass MFA. And you need to go ahead and protect yourself against all of those issues. As an example, there's a lot of things it detects. So there's a detection part of it, which is like detecting all the misconfigurations that we help customers with. With respect to phishing resistant authentication, our best of breed phishing resistant authenticator is Okta FastPass. Um, it does a couple of very interesting things. One is not only is it phishing resistant, but it also integrates directly with Mac, Windows, iOS, and Android to give you advanced device posture assessments. So you can check to see if your MDM tool is running or not, what the CrowdStrike malware risk score is, if what is the health of the device before you even allow authentication to happen. Because a phishing attempt could be driven by an actual like phishing site or adversary in the middle site. But there are also other ways in which you could trick things by compromising the machine itself via malware and other workarounds. So we want to ensure that customers have a belt and suspenders approach and they can protect against both kinds of attacks. And finally, post-authentication attacks are rising at a rapid scale. So we've seen almost 2 billion session cookies being harvested from Fortune 1000 companies on a year-over-year basis. And the reason why bad actors do this is because they know that if you get a cookie or a session cookie from a end user's device, that is guaranteed to allow you to bypass MFA. Um, and we're seeing that most strains of malware today actually focus on stealing session cookies. So the way in which we're helping customers protect themselves against this form of attack is One, we have a whole host of first-party detections that continuously run after authentication has happened. We can check to see if the end user has traveled in a way that is impossible, like physically impossible. We call it impossible travel scenarios, where a session cookie that was minted from one location is suddenly being used against Okta from another. We also leverage our advanced device posture checks to see if the device is unhealthy. We have a constant threat feed of indicators of compromise from partners like CrowdStrike, Zscaler, Palo Alto Networks, which feeds into our AI-driven risk engine. And if the risk is high, then we allow customers to take inline actions in real time to log the user out of all of their applications and destroy those session cookies. So zooming out again, like in this sort of new world, we've got protections to ensure that your identity is not misconfigured. We've got protections to ensure that you're able to roll out the most secure phishing resistant authentication techniques, including both device posture as well as biometrics to protect the authentication step itself. And then finally, we're also covering what happens after authentication by continuously reevaluating all of these risk signals and enabling inline actions like universal logout.
Wow. Yeah, that's a tremendous lot of stuff. No, thank you so much. And with all the great work Okta's doing, I suppose looking the other direction, what are in the with when you talk to customers or end users or things, what are you hearing out in the world about that you feel are, I guess, the biggest misconceptions that people might have around securing AI workloads and agents where Okta could help them? What are some of the misunderstandings you think that you're seeing out in the world?
Some of the misunderstandings that I'm seeing with rolling out AI agents is assumptions that um, the AI agent is being built and being coded to only take a certain subset of actions. And so a service account against one of these resources is okay. Like an assumption could be that hey, my AI agent is only allowed to update like these fields in a record, or it's only allowed to create a ticket. It can't read all the tickets. And so it's not required that we put in a ton of like additional identity security protections over here. Now, the reason I say it's a misconception is how do you know that that level of access is actually being enforced? How do you know that that level of access is not being increased on the back end? That level of auditability, visibility, and then policy control doesn't exist with these secrets-based approaches. So I think that is the thing that, as Okta, we are most concerned about. We want to ensure that as agents get built, as standards like MCP and agent to agent evolve, that the core constructs of identity lifecycle management that have been built for human beings over the last like 30 years, that we learn from that and we include those in the specs going forward.
Yeah, fantastic. And what about, I guess, looking to the future? So Okta's done these amazing things, but what about now the next wave of multimodal agents and AIs that interact via, say, voice or video with enterprise systems? What can we do there for security?
I think there's a couple of really interesting things. So we've seen the instances of AI-driven deepfakes actually ratchet up by 700% in the financial services sector. So we know that bad actors are using these tools to, trick IT help desks and like other gates into enabling access. The really interesting thing that's happening from my perspective in the identity space to protect against these kinds of attacks is the ability for humans to prove they are who they say they are. So there's a lot of regulations rolling out worldwide. In Europe, I think it's called the eIDAS standard. In the US, there's a lot of standardization across states on mobile driver's licenses, with I think over 10 states now supporting it. The benefit of this is if every human being has a digital credential they can use to prove they are who they say they are, that is a very interesting step up authentication use case that you could put into the flow to validate if the object you're interacting with is an AI agent with a deep fake for their voice or their video, or if it actually is Nicole or David, the real person. So that I think is going to become an interesting use case, which sometimes people are referring to as proof of humanness. And as governments issue more of these verified digital credentials, the ability to prove that you're human online is going to get easier and easier. And so I'm very, very excited about that future.
Yeah, wonderful. No, that is exciting. I appreciate everything you've told me, Arnab. I've learned a lot about cross-app access, the Okta roadmap, about how enterprises could be securing themselves in all these different ways, and what Okta is doing about combating threats. It's been very informative. I appreciate that a lot. I suppose, is there anything else on your mind that you've been thinking about lately that you'd be keen to discuss?
I think the only other thing I'd say is um, uh, the journey to ensure that you have a fully baked identity security strategy is long, but getting started is the most important part.
Mm.
And even 2 years ago, we saw that the number of authentications that were going through phishing resistant factors was really, really low. But year over year, we've seen about a 200% increase in the use of those factors within our customers. So I think the last thought I'll leave people with is get started on the journey today. Like it requires change across so many fronts. Like you have to go ahead and educate your end users about enrolling in these phishing resistant factors. You have to build out your identity security posture management practice. You have to understand how to enable these continuous authentication policies. You have to understand how to ensure that the AI agents you build actually support cross-app access. So there's a whole maturity curve and a maturity model here to get identity security right. But it has to start with some basics like getting beyond phishable factors for MFA or getting beyond the ways in which you react to incidents and get more proactive with identity security posture management, and that'll put you on the right track for success.
Yeah, wonderful. And I like what you say that, I mean, we all know we need security, but often that hardest start part is just starting. And Okta, correct me if I'm wrong, but Okta offers a 30-day free trial, doesn't it? So really the
Correct.
barrier to getting started is just doing it.
Yes, 100%, just doing it.
Wonderful. No, thank you, Arnab. You've been awesome. I appreciate that a lot. So that's been Arnab Bose, the Chief Product Officer for Okta. Thank you so much, Arnab.
Thank you for having me, David.
Thank you.